All right. Welcome, everybody, to the walk-off. We've got with us today Kelsey Lalor of Red Deer, Boise State Broncos softball team, NCAA Mountain West Conference. She's competed for the Canadian national baseball team since 2013. She has a silver medal with Canada Baseball for the Pan Am Games in 2015. Kelsey, welcome to the walk-off. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So how's the apocalypse treated you so far?
I mean, it's been crazy, definitely different. We're usually gone all summer playing ball and traveling all over the country for nationals, and then we're supposed to have a World Cup. But I don't know if that's going to happen. It hasn't. It's supposed to be in November, but we haven't really heard a whole lot. So it's definitely been different not playing ball all summer. But I guess this is the new normal for right now. So just
Right.
kind of get used to it.
Just a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
You spent all your time in Red Deer over this pandemic and you just got to Boise, you were saying, on Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
Was it weird crossing the border?
It was good. It was normal. So
Yeah.
when they sent out a while ago, they sent out there was the information sent out saying that if you didn't have like an in-class, then international students weren't going to be allowed in the country. But luckily, that was reversed. So my trip across the border was pretty easy. Just had all my papers, and yeah, they let me through. So that was awesome. But it was nerve-wracking for sure.
And I guess now that you're there, you still really know nothing, correct? Like,
Yeah.
it must have been really tough just to keep up with like conditioning and staying game ready and stuff like this. How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, so our strength trainer, our performance coach, I guess he's awesome. His name is Coach Ray, and he sent us a big program for the whole summer. So we had conditioning, agility, and then our weights, so our lifting. And it was tough initially because no gyms were open, and then kind of going back into it. So he was always there to help us, like if we needed a variation for if we were doing it at home, and to help us out that way. So just I tried to follow the program that he gave us as best as I could. And when I was at home, I'm really lucky that I have my dad to throw to me all the time. So he learned to throw underhand, so I could see some live action. But yeah, a lot of front toss, a lot of different drills to get it all set up. And then I also had the opportunity to work with the U19 A team in Red Deer a little bit. So
Oh, nice.
practice with them and help them out and get some swings with them too. So that was really awesome.
That's great. Has your dad always been a big influence for you when it comes to baseball?
Yeah, he's always been there. He's always been around coaching, and it's really nice to have somebody just who has like that kind of experience, that knowledge of the game, just to have them available to me whenever I want. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's great. So I know we were talking just before we started this thing. The season right now for you is just up in the air. Have they gone over any COVID protocols? Like, how is this going to play out? Do you even know?
No, like we don't really know. Our coaches, our athletic directors don't have a lot of information. A lot of it comes from the NCAA, and they're just trying to make the best decisions possible. So yesterday, actually, all the fall sports for the Mountain West Conference, which is what we play in,
Hmm.
were canceled or postponed. So I think that's kind of going to be the theme around the country. Initially, they pushed the start date back to the week of September 26th, and then it was like going to be all conference and that kind of stuff. So basically, football is what everybody's waiting on. So it'll kind of
Yeah.
depend on what happens with football season to see what everybody else does. But yeah, we have like a lot of protocols set in place. So we have to do like a 10-day screen for like symptoms and stuff like that before we come back. And then we get physicals done, and then we're like clear to use our facilities, but then it'll be like in really small groups and only like everybody has a mask on. And yeah, so there's a lot of protocol, and we're just kind of trying to get everything in line. But now with our fall sports being canceled, that might change a little bit. So
Right.
it just happened yesterday. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting for a lot more information in the next couple days.
So you do feel like your safety has been kind of concern number one at the school then?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our athletic trainers have been working nonstop to try and find protocol and ways for us to be able to train and practice and play. So, yeah, I trust them and what they've been doing, and they're working really hard to, yeah, make sure that our athletes are safe.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, like, you have competed for the Canadian national baseball team since 2013. You even have a silver medal with the 2015 Pan Am Games there to show for it. When you joined Boise State last summer, had you ever played softball at a high level before, or was it mostly baseball? And did you find it difficult, or was there a learning curve, or just give you a bat and a ball and away you go?
Um, Yeah, so I'd never played softball before I showed up on campus. So I honestly got pretty lucky. I had a couple people from at home that I knew that believed in me and that had some connections down here. And I mean, Coach Meggs and Coach Rich and Coach Snow really took a chance, I guess, and saw there was a lot of potential in me to grow. So they saw that like I had the fundamental skills and the knowledge of the game of baseball, and they figured with some work, a lot of work, that we could transfer it over. But yeah, I mean, the switch definitely wasn't easy. It took a lot of time. It was frustrating and stressful, but I also had a really good time like being challenged and having to learn something new again. So
Yeah.
my coaches, they're incredible. I couldn't have asked for better coaches or a coaching staff that believes in me more. And it was really nice when I first got here. I'd get frustrated because I couldn't do something right away, and they were the ones often that reminded me that, hey, like you've only been doing this for a couple months, like you'll get there. Yeah. So it's been a process, and I mean, I'm still in the middle of it, and I am still learning new things every day. Like pitching is really different. So just like being a hitter, like obviously there's parts of the games that are really similar, but there's also those things that are very different. So yeah, I'm just so lucky that I have such great teammates and such a great coaching staff here.
So the pitching would be the biggest difference, you'd say?
Yeah, yeah. All the fielding stuff is pretty much the same. I mean, like the field is smaller, obviously, so
Yeah.
the ball like doesn't fly as far. But like you have to make some plays a little bit differently just because you don't have as much time. But yeah, the pitching is the biggest adjustment for me. So I mean, I don't pitch ever. It's not pretty, but
Well, what's the biggest thing when you as a hitter go to the plate? What are you looking for in softball in comparison to, let's say, baseball?
I mean, the big difference is in baseball, the ball is always coming down. In softball, you get the rise, so that's a lot different. That's
Right.
one of the pitches that I struggle to hit right now, is the rise ball, but it got better as the year went on. I mean, I'm learning on when I can hit that pitch and when it's going to get too high and tail up. So that's been a big challenge, and also like a change of speed. So the change up in softball, like there's a really big difference in speed between like what they throw for their hard pitch. So their drop ball or their curve ball, screwball, rise ball, that, and then
Yeah.
this change up, it's like a really big change in speed. So yeah, that was fun. I looked pretty silly up there a few times, but we're starting to get the hang of it. And it's just, yeah, it's just learning kind of the game. So what pitchers like to throw in and what situations they
Right.
use it in. So we do like our coaches are really good at giving us information before the game about what the pitcher throws, what they like to throw, that kind of stuff. And then during the game, it's a lot of like watching what happens in other at bats and learning from my previous at bats, so I can prepare myself more for when I get up to the plate again.
Right. So like with the mentality of going to the plate then, are you sitting on a pitch? Like would you be like, "Oh, I know they're going to throw a rise ball here." Like is that something that's going through your head, or how does that go about?
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much of that right now, just because I haven't really had that much experience to kind of see it and hit it right
Right.
now. So that was my first year, and then now I'm hoping this year because I've played 25 games, so I've seen quite a few different pitchers now, and I'm hoping now that I'll be like a little bit more relaxed at the plate and be able to see some
Right.
things. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. But yeah, as the season goes on, I mean, I'm gonna look for something hard. I don't mind the inner half or the outer half, so I'll go either way. But yeah, just something that I know that I can handle. So it's like when you're facing a rise ball pitcher, you kind of got to know that if the ball starts at the top of the strike zone, it's going to finish as a ball and it's going to be too high for you to hit. And then if you're
Right.
facing a top ball pitcher, if that ball starts at the knees, then it's going to fall off and be a ball. So just kind of learning some of those type things so that when I go to the plate, I'm prepared for what kind of pitcher we're facing.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know one of the things that stood out, it's funny when I was going over your bio, I know your natural position is outfield. In fact, in 2018, you were even named to the all world team as an outfielder, which is very cool. But in your Broncos bio, it's kind of got utility. So are you just there playing all over the field then?
Yeah. So like when I was growing up at home, like I played a lot of middle infield, so shortstop, second
Okay.
base. And then with Team Alberta, I played a lot of shortstop growing up too. And then with national team, when I first made it, there was a position available like open in the outfield. So that's kind of where I moved to, and that's where I've been for the past little bit. But yeah, when I came here, we weren't really sure exactly where I was going to play. So I did start on the infield. I started at shortstop in the fall, and that was good. And then, yeah, I kind of moved to the outfield just because the big reason why I'm here is to hit. So that's what I do best. So yeah, so that's what I've been focusing on. And we figured that like just playing shortstop, there's a lot of different things positionally, and I just wasn't sure like where I was supposed to be all the time. So I kind of felt like a little bit hesitant sometimes. So we just figured
Right.
they figured just throw me in the outfield, let me hit, let me go run around, catch some fly balls. So yeah, it's been good. I think I'll stay in the outfield, and yeah, I like it better. It's just like a little bit less thinking for me, just because it's pretty natural compared to
Right.
just some of the stuff that goes on at shortstop. So like covering second base and on bunts, and when you have a slap hitter at the plate, so some of that sort of stuff, which is really different than the game of baseball.
Yeah, that's cool. I know in baseball over the last, especially 5 to 10 years, positional versatility has really come into play. Do you recognize that? Like, do you see that a lot in amongst the softball teams? Like, are there a lot of players moving all over the diamond and stuff? Or
Yeah, I mean, like once you kind of get to your college and then you kind of find your spot, you'll stay there. But like to get to that position, they might move you. So we've had players come in that have been pitchers in high school and they were catchers and they kind of play all over. They might play multiple infield positions and then you kind of specialize to one. Same thing that like we've had people that have come in as infielders and moved to the outfield. So it's just kind of like whatever they need at that time and whatever your skill set is. And then once you get to college or university, then it's pretty like specialized and you'll stay there. But yeah, on occasion you will see players move. It just depends what your team needs and what you're capable of doing.
right, of course. Now, before you joined NCAA softball league with Boise, you went to the University of Saskatchewan, Sask.
Yeah.
You played basketball with the Huskies. You even won a couple of titles. Curious mentally, do you find preparing for the games different between basketball and baseball? Like, how is your approach with each game or with each sport, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, basketball is a really big team sport, and I find that like baseball is the same, but it's way more individualized within a team atmosphere.
Yeah,
So some of that kind of stuff, and yeah, I do find my preparation different for the two. Like when before the game, like when you're on the basketball court, you're going to get your shots up, but you're really going to make sure that you're finding that rhythm and that connection with your teammates because you got to be able to find them on the court, pass the ball around, make it look good, all that kind of stuff, and communication and like knowing your plays, all that kind of stuff is really important. So there's a lot focused on the team versus like in baseball or in softball when I'm getting ready to hit like before the game when we're hitting batting practice, like that's for me to focus on like me finding my groove and getting everything ready to go because I know my individual performance is going to affect the team overall. So
right.
stuff is
Do you
different.
miss basketball?
Yeah, I do. I miss it a lot. I mean, both my sisters play university basketball. Haley plays at Grant McEwen and Jamie plays at Mount Royal. So
Oh, great.
them and when I go home I get to go and shoot around with them and play some one-on-one but yeah I mean it was definitely a big switch and it was tough. I mean giving up basketball I guess in a sense like finished my university career but I had a good run at the University of Saskatchewan and I love where I am now playing softball at Boise
Yeah.
State and wouldn't change it for the world. So yeah it's tough. It's always tough like I guess being done and finishing a sport but uh the world of softball so far has given me so many opportunities and I love going to practice every day. I love being at the diamond. It's kind of like just living softball right now. I'll just watch
Yeah.
softball games like from old World Series and just try and get as much information as I can so that I can be prepared for whenever I get to play next.
That's very cool. What inspired the transition from basketball to softball?
Um, I was really looking for a change in environment. It was one of the big things. I loved my experience in Saskatchewan, but there were just some more things I wanted out of my college experience, and I didn't really know when I chose to transfer that I was going to choose a completely different sport. I thought maybe go and play basketball, but at that point in my life, I was really enjoying baseball, and I had a couple of teammates and a couple of girls I played against that were playing NCAA softball, and just looked like they really, really enjoyed what they got to do. And I thought if I could find somewhere that was going to give me that opportunity, then I should definitely take it. And yeah, I'm just really happy with my decision to come to Boise State.
Yeah, that's a big shift, and
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Like, and it's funny because I go over like your resume and stuff, and you have won like everywhere you go. You've got a silver medal at the Pan Am Games. You won those titles with the U of S, and I know a lot of athletes talk about there's almost like a mental switch to learning how to win. Did you find that once you've kind of figured that out, like do you approach your games or your season differently than maybe you did earlier on in your professional or your athletic career?
Yeah, definitely. Like that was one of the big things when I went to the University of Saskatchewan. Like they were fresh off a national title and they'd lost a bunch of players, so we thought it was kind of going to be a rebuild year when we had a lot of young kids coming in. But the people that were already there, like the culture that they just instilled in us and that they worked to build every day, that was something that I really learned from. And Lisa Tomitis runs a great program at Saskatchewan. She gets great players and she really knows how to get people to work together. So I felt that was something that I was able to carry through with national team, and then again with coming to Boise State. But yeah, like when you go and play for Team Canada, it's always like win win win. There, you're at a big tournament all the time. There's no days off, and you never taking any breaks. So yeah, it's just I guess playing in some of those really big competitions have made me practice and compete and train that much harder because I know in the end what I'm preparing for. So it's just the whole like practice like you play type thing, and just
Yeah,
put yourself in those situations and make sure that you're prepared at the end of the day when you come up in a big situation in a game.
just more preparation and intensity, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I know you've had a heck of a stint with the Canadian national baseball team, competing with the team for 7 years now. You obviously have some memories or stuff like that that stand out. Do you have any like special memories that just like you're like, wow, it's crazy I got to be involved in this?
Yeah. I mean, Pan Am Games in Toronto were the biggest one. That's by far the biggest event I've ever been involved in, but it was so cool to just like be at the village and you got to go to closing ceremonies, but it's like you walk down for breakfast and Andre DeGrasse, who's there as the Canadian sprinter, is just on the table from you, and there's like all these big names. And I remember like I walked in the village and Kia Nurse was there, and I
Yeah.
watched her playing basketball like all the time. So it was just really cool to be in that type of environment and to realize like, okay, like I'm kind of at the same stage that these guys are. Like this is the top end competition for that year in 2015, and then getting to play at home for that. That's the only international competition I've ever played at home.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, just like having the stands filled every game and just like looking up and seeing a bunch of red and white in the stands. And after the game, the little kids would come up to you and we had player cards and you'd sign them and give it to them, or they'd want their baseball signed. And yeah, it was just really sweet just to have that support. And it was really cool. My parents were also able to be there and come and watch. And my grandma and my aunt, so it's really nice to just have some family there too.
That must have been so surreal, eh?
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, it's kind of like a lot of people, like, it's kind of like the step like before the Olympics. And obviously, women's
Yeah, for
baseball,
sure.
just to like be involved in the Pan Am Games, like it was crazy. And I remember when I got selected to the team, I was so excited. And you get like all your Team Canada gear, and you're just getting ready to go and just like really like fully immerse yourself in that environment for 2 weeks was really cool. And I think it was something that was like a big step in my career as an athlete, because I just realized like how much effort and time and training these people put into like just for this one event. Like some of them go there to run the 100 meters, and so they're running for 10 seconds and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's their thing. But just how they prepare themselves, like how they eat, their sleep, like their training schedules, all that kind of stuff is really cool to realize like that I was like that I could be included in that group of athletes. So
Oh, absolutely. It must have been so validating and confidence building to just be like, I actually belong with like the best of the best. This is crazy.
yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on that, by the way. That's very, very cool. I know. I just want to go. Let's rewind a little bit here. I know, being from Red Deer and an Alberta girl,
Yeah.
the baseball scene in Alberta has improved drastically in the last 10 years. Like I remember growing up, and if you weren't from Southern BC or Southern Ontario, like good luck pursuing baseball, right? I
Yeah.
know just recently, the last couple summers that you were playing with the Red Deer Drillers of the Sunburst Baseball League. That's the men's league, correct?
Yeah, with the Red Deer Riggers. Yeah.
Right, the Riggers. Sorry, yeah, the Riggers. How was it playing with the guys? And what is the compete level in comparison to, let's say, Boise State?
Yeah, I mean, I played with the guys growing up in Red Deer. So I played with the Braves first, all the way up through midget. And then, yeah, I played with the Riggers last summer. So my dad used to play with them. He played for like 29 years. And then my cousins play there and a couple good family friends. So they thought it would be really cool if I came out and played with them. And they needed a couple of people because there were guys away at school and
Yeah,
work for a little bit. So yeah, I went out and played with them. And it was great. I mean, it was like, you really learn a lot from some of those guys because they're like older and they're maybe not like as mobile and as athletic as they used to be, but they still get the job done. So you just kind of learn from them, and it was really good. It was definitely a different atmosphere. It's way different than playing softball at Boise State, but I faced some really good pitching in that league. Like
yeah.
I saw some really good breaking balls and some guys with some good velocity. So it was definitely a challenge, but I mean that's something you always need as a player is to kind of just go back out there and be like, all right, like it's time for me to like figure this out, and I really have to work. Like I had to work at the plate to try to hit good pitches and to get hits and to get on base. So that was something that was really good. It's like really good for that like mental toughness thing. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and I mean the games are so different. It's hard to compare them to what I play with at Boise State right now. But I think at home when I was playing at that level, it was definitely good for me to be challenged like the same way that I am now in softball. So that was something that was really nice to play for that summer before I came because I was kind of in that mindset of where I had to learn and get caught up, and it was going to be a challenge every day. So that was really good for me coming into the fall this past season.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know. Congratulations, by the way, on getting to Boise State and being a part of the Broncos organization. It's very cool that you're in the NCAA. I'm very curious. I know, like, as a female athlete,
Yeah.
when you look at men's sports, there's obviously already a professional infrastructure set up and stuff like that. Do you mind if I ask you where do you want to go from here? Do you feel like you've kind of already, like, you've reached the top of basketball almost without, going pro? You're playing college sports, like a lot of the male college athletes look to go pro. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, I mean, so with women's baseball, I mean, kind of at the top, like women's national team is, for as far as like the women's side of the game goes,
You're kind of
that's
already there.
and I mean, playing professionally, that's a really far stretch. I mean, obvious like females can play baseball, but there's just so many differences in like speed and power and strength, and it's just like biological differences that are
Yeah.
really hard. Like no matter how much you train and all that kind of stuff, like they're really really hard to overcome just because the body, like the female and the male body, aren't built the same. So yeah, playing professional baseball on the like men's side is not in the question, and I'm really happy where I've gotten to in my baseball career. I mean, I've got to play national team for a lot of years and got to play World Cup, but I mean, on the softball side of things, could go a little bit farther with that potentially. So
Hmm.
in the future, I would love to be involved with Team Canada softball and maybe try to get into their pool and hopefully make an Olympic run. Would be that's the dream right now.
That would be
So
awesome.
yeah, so I mean, hopefully get a couple more years softball here and at Boise State and just really try to get the most out of it and learn as much as I can. And then yeah, hopefully try to sneak into that Team Canada athlete pool and just kind of keep working my way up. But yeah, there's a long way to go before there for sure. But there's also like a women's fast pitch league, like a professional fast pitch league in the United States. There's not a ton of teams, but like the best college players each year go and join that league, and it's really entertaining to watch. It's really fun. You get some of the best college pitchers ever, and then you get the best hitters, and it's always just a great battle. So yeah, I try to catch some of that whenever I can, but it's just really exciting. And
Yeah.
yeah, so if I got the opportunity to do something like that, I would definitely take my shot. I mean, I've got a long ways to go and a lot to learn, but yeah, that's the dream. So
That's great. That's awesome. Do you follow the MLB? Like, do you have the time to kind of keep up with that sort of thing? Were you a fan as a kid?
yeah, I mean, we always have games on at home. Like that's what's usually on the TV is what we're watching. So I don't follow it like super closely, but yeah,
Yeah.
I watch a lot of games on TV, just whatever I can. So
Blue Jays?
yeah, I like the Blue Jays. I'm a big fan of the Dodgers now with Mookie and Cody
Oh,
Bellinger
yeah.
and all those guys. So yeah, and I mean, always love watching Mike Trout. So
How can you not?
yeah, he's unreal.
If there's, I talk about this all the time. Like, when it comes to just like the best of the best, it's so crazy that like half of the world wouldn't even mention Mike Trout. Like, it's just like, for whatever reasons, when it comes to like superstars in baseball, they always just fall so much below the best of the best in basketball and
Mhm.
football and even hockey. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's really impressive. Just when you watch him, everything he's just like he's confident and humble, but you just watch him do everything. It just looks good, and he seems to be like really level headed and just he always seems to show up when you need him. Like he's extreme, like he's really clutch. Like you can tell in his like and all his numbers. But yeah, he just always seems to be the guy that shows up when his team needs him the most. So
Awesome. Honestly, Kelsey, thank you so, so much for joining us and taking the time to talk baseball here with us. We've really enjoyed it. All the best with this upcoming season. Fingers crossed it happens for you.
yeah,
Uh,
so
Stay safe and healthy and all that good stuff.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Right on. All the best.